Hey, this is Sebastian for the Metal Gods Meltdown, and I'm joined tonight by
Kane Roberts.
That was very sexy.
Well, I was going to say, everybody expects that to be my voice. You know, it's like, hey, how you doing? It's Kane Roberts. You know, and then, you know, sometimes if I have to deal with any business, I kind of use that voice to start. I go, yes, well, you know, and then at the end of it, I'm going, hey, yeah, rip me off. I'll talk to you later. You know what I mean? So it's hard to maintain that kind of heavy voice.
Yeah, man, that's class. Okay, so congratulations on an amazing album in the new normal. How pleased are you with the finished product?
You know, it's funny. I walked into the studio 3 years ago, and I had songs already written. I had the whole album written. I thought I was just really cool. I was really prepared. And I'm not kidding, Seb. Within a month, we got rid of all those songs and just started writing and working with different people. So the album did take me 3 years, and I was really lucky to be with a record company that the only thing they care about, the only thing they give a shit about is the music. I mean, they have a business model, but, you know, the two badasses that work the company, Serafino and Mario, at the very core of what they do is they care about, you know, the music that they love, and they want people to keep, you know, being able to hear it. So, and I finally found myself in a business scenario that I liked, you know, and the reason I disappeared for so long is I really wasn't in the proper, you know, business environment. I didn't really like the music business. I never turned my back on fans or music or bands that I like or my other musician friends or anything. And I played guitar all the time. But it was one of those things where, you know, I found myself in a situation where 6 months went by, then a year and a half, and I was discovering that my vocal range was still there. You know, I wasn't surprised about the guitar because I never stopped playing. But, you know, as we started moving into different areas of the album, in other words, creating kind of a concept, we came up with this almost cinematic view of each song, like each song was kind of a script to a film. And that's why, you know, you hear unexpected things happen in the course of the songs. They're not necessarily arranged in a very sort of a standard routine way. So, and you know, and the other thing, stylistically, you know, I never turned my back on the stuff that I'd done before. I wasn't trying to do anything modern or do anything 80s or do, you know, whatever melodic rock. I just sort of created for the moment, and I think what you hear is kind of a blend of all the music that sort of entered my life and experiences over the last 300 years. No, over the last, you know, the time that I've been writing and stuff.
So what has the feedback been like from the media and fans so far?
Well, you know, I think it's today, you know, back in the day, you'd put out a record, and you sort of left everything up to the written word, some MTV stuff, and the record company. But there was a huge chasm, a huge abyss between you and what the fans were thinking when they heard the record. And the only way you were able to like get a gauge on how it was what it did on radio, what it did on record sales, or, you know, if somebody would walk up to you on the street and punch you in the face because they hate the record, you know, that was the only way you got to find out like what fans really thought about things. Well, today, with all the social networks and YouTube and the commenting and all that stuff, you go in certain places, you know, there's a lot of haters and lovers. But I think what it is, you know, you put stuff out there and people are programmed to like or behave or hate, you know, whatever it is that it is in their lives that they respond to that way. And, you know, you get kind of a dose of it. And I think it's kind of a cool thing. I've gotten, you know, 99%, 95% positive. There's some people that, you know, make comments about the record, and I go, you know, that's actually not a bad point. Maybe I could have done that. And then there's the people like, you know, hey, fuck you, you suck. I wish you were fucking dead. You know, those guys, I don't know what to do with that stuff. You know, it's like, well, why do you want me dead? You know, and you know what I mean. I don't respond to them. No. But the thing is that just in general, yeah, it's been very positive. The same thing with the video. You know, I've got like, you know, way more positive, you know, responses to it than criticism. And, you know, and in these days, you know, all my friends, anybody that puts out a record or anybody that has one out, you know, it doesn't matter how huge you are, you get this blend of you know, like either adulation and love, or you just have people just sort of like bouncing opinions off your head. I kind of love it all. I think it's really important. I think everybody, you know, having a voice, I think that's a great thing, good, bad, or ugly. So,
talking about the video, I think all of the songs are fantastic on the album, but I really love Beginning of the End, featuring your old boss Alice Cooper and the mega talented Alissa from Arch Enemy and Ioma from Baby Metal.
Yeah, Aoyama, just for the drummer, just like a machine gun with his feet and everything. Unbelievable.
Cool. So are there hopes at some stage for them to all join you on stage sometime with that song?
Yeah, well, the song would have to, move some mountains first for that to happen. I'd have to be like, on a viable situation where I'm touring. But, those people that you mentioned are all people that it doesn't require anything for them to get involved passionately other than if they love the music. I mean, that was one of the things that I noticed about Alissa, who, in many ways embodies the name of the record, The New Normal. I mean, she's knocked down so many walls, broken so many glass ceilings. It's like the girl on the cover, 50 years ago, that cover probably wouldn't have been allowed. But now you look at it and you see somebody that's, all inked up and she's got blood on her hands and all that stuff. People say to me, does she represent, a victim, female victim? And I said, no, that's not her blood. So I look at it like, artists like her and Alice and Nita Strauss, those are people that are sort of like, kicking down doors and saying, this is the way things are now. And even though they may be destroying in some ways some old cultural notions or trends, those things don't go away. I think we end up, with more, So, I remember like I was watching YouTube, and I saw a band called The Agonist, and Alissa was in it. It was my first time seeing her. I was going, that's freaking awesome. I just, the way this person owns, every inch of that screen.
Yeah.
And then I saw her with Arch Enemy, and she's at Wacken, and these giant oak tree, amazing heavy metal musicians are like stalking the stage, and then out comes Alissa, and she like just grabs 80,000 people. And, I'm just sitting there going like, this is the type of energy that I would love to have on my record, So once I got Alice in there, I thought to myself, well, here's where the guitar solo would normally go. How amazing would it be if Alissa drops from the sky and detonates the whole room? And that's exactly what she did. And she, boy, her quote unquote melodic, beautiful voice too is just absolutely incredible.
Because she's not that big, is she? She's tiny, and the voice and her vocal range is just phenomenal. Yeah,
and the other things that are very true is she's extremely professional, extremely skilled, very personable, smart, bright female. And she and I have talked about more than just the music. She's very into poetry and all sorts of stuff. So she's really like this really broad-based human being. And I kind of felt like there was a sort of a similarity in the way that she, Alice, and I sort of view things. We'll move heaven and earth to be involved with something that we think is cool. She flew from Europe, waited at the Montreal airport for 4 hours, and then flew 6 more hours to Vancouver to be in the video.
Wow. So,
right there. And, to her, never complained, never said anything. It was just a natural thing, and it's all, for the art of it. And I just think... I was just really, lucky to have those people all in one location on one day, which is kind of a minor miracle. You can imagine how many phone calls I made.
I can imagine, yeah. The video kicks ass. I love the video. It's brilliant.
Yeah, we decided not to do I decided not to do any stuff where somebody's holding a guitar or a bass or a microphone. I wanted to make it more like a sort of a vignette, a story, and some of the things that happen in it is just part of like, things blowing up during the production or whatever. I mean, I was supposed to shoot my gun guitar. I had the guy who did special effects for Bourne Identity and Batman and everything. We had my guitar rigged up to shoot flame for 40 feet,
wow.
But we didn't get a chance to do it. So we ended up putting the nuclear kiss at the end of the video that I just think is kind of like very cool. So that's how that ended up happening.
Yeah. How come Alice got to kiss the lass, not you?
Well, he said to me, I said, what did you think of the kiss? And Alice said, he liked the kiss, but he said, he thought it should have been me and him. So I said, well, next video, so. I mean, you think about it, that would have gone viral.
That would have been funny.
You know what I mean? If 800 million views, that sort of a thing.
That would have been hilarious. Yeah,
and I wouldn't want to see that. I don't know about anybody else, but that would be like, nah.
No, I don't think I would either, man.
place on the deck, it's what you wanted. You deserve me, you incarnate me, you call my name. Go find a war. The screaming sound that tears the ground and cuts you to your core. Beneath the trees that scar my brain, it's what you pray for.
This is what you prayed for. Go find a war. Can't go back to how you were before. Go find a war.
It's the beginning of the end, say goodbye to the world. It's the beginning of the end, say goodbye to the world.
The beginning of the end, say goodbye to the world.
You finally stand for something.
Stand for something.
It's the beginning of the end, say goodbye to the world. You finally stand for something. Your back is never gonna bend, go find a wall. You finally stand for something.
Hypnotized by hate unspoken.
I'm at the front of the line, it's the end of time. We'll find a wall. It's the beginning of the end. Your back is never gonna bend. We'll find a wall. It's the beginning of the end. Your time has come. This is your day. Go find a war.
Alice Cooper or yourself, you don't seem to age at all, really. What is your secret?
Well, I'm just very, look, the whole thing with the bodybuilding thing and lifting weights, I used to be really skinny. I mean, when I first started playing in bands, I mean, I didn't have any money, you know, I was dealing cards at an illegal blackjack game in Manhattan to make money. And, you know, I'd walk into the hotel room, the guy would move it from hotel to hotel all around the city. And then, you know, you'd walk into the conference room and a guy would show me where all the guns were, you know, and then I would sit down and deal cards. And I had played at a club earlier, and, you know, I probably made $12, you know, but when I left the blackjack game at 8 a.m, I probably had, you know, $1,000, $800, you know, whatever. So that's how I survived at the time. So it was one of those things where you know, you start to find yourself like you know, you don't know exactly what's going to happen, and then, you know, I started getting into, you know, in that space of time, I started getting into to going to the gym once in a while. And then you know, it just caught on with me. My whole thing was like these blackjack games, the gigs, and lifting weights. I have no idea how it caught on. I never wanted to ever, like, you know, oil up and put on a Speedo and go on stage, you know, bodybuilding. That's not something that appealed to me. I do that at home. No, I'm kidding. I don't do that at home. No, but so my point, though, is that it just caught on. And I think that was one of the reasons why Alice and I, you know, when we met, we became best friends in 15 minutes. I mean, we always talk about that. We just started laughing. We just became the best of friends, as if we knew each other. It's because he's got the same sort of obsessive personality. He golfs no matter what. I mean, we were in Edinburgh. This is back in the day, and I think it was 45 degrees out. It was 4:30 in the morning. There was kind of like a drizzle, kind of a rain.
Yeah.
And I went down in the lobby. I couldn't sleep. I was going to see if I could get something to eat. And Alice is there with his golf clubs. And I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm going to go golfing." I went, "Okay." You know what I mean? Like no matter what, you know, he has to golf. And it's just the same thing with me. It's just part of my life now. I lift weights, and I think more than any other sort of activity, I think swimming is really like amazing for you, like if you want to do that. But I think weightlifting sort of keeps your body like assembled properly, as long as you're careful not to you know, go too heavy or do things, you know, in a really sloppy way. And, you know, as far as my diet, I'm one of those people. I could eat nonstop. In other words, I could have a big dinner, and I'm sitting there, at the end of the dinner. A half an hour later, if somebody puts the right thing in front of me, I'll go again. Yeah, I'll have some spaghetti. You know what I mean? I'm just one of those people. So I got to be a little careful with that. But, fortunately, I still have like a high metabolism, and I'm kind of a hyper guy, as you can tell by the way I'm talking. So.
Yeah. You just reminded me of Joey out of Friends, actually. That's what he's like. You ever seen that in Friends where Joey eats a whole fucking massive turkey? And he's like, "Hey, man,
Joey,
where's me dinner? Where's me dessert?"
Yeah. It's like Joey doesn't like to share food.
Yeah.
That's my favorite episode. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love it. I love it.
Joey.
I still watch it, dude. Honestly.
Yeah.
Okay. You have some amazing contributions from people like I've already mentioned, as well as Lizzie Hale, Nita Strauss, Kip Winger. The list goes on. But can I ask you, which is your favourite track on the album today?
That's kind of a tough one. What happens with this? It's kind of like, when you go to see those exhibits, those water exhibits where different like fountains go up, and it's pretty simple. One on the left goes up and it goes down, and the one on the right goes up, and then they're all like all over the place. It's kind of what the album's doing, because I'll listen to the beginning to the end, and I go, that song just does everything for me. It does the unexpected. It makes me laugh. It just does. And by the way, I'm really proud of my guitar solo at the end of that. And, it's one of those things where I just sort of, jostled everything around to make something kind of special. And I think, to a certain extent, it works perfectly. So I love that. And then I'll be sitting there, and there's a song called Leave This World Behind, which, we really did some sort of arrangement, kind of experimenting with it. And, the guitar solo was just over this kind of percussive drum section, and I just think, that one, even though it's got like a pop kind of a chorus, it's got a massive metal, a rhythm section under it. So I love that. I think right now, those are my two favorites, although the ballad Who We Are keeps, pushing me around in terms of like how much I like it, because instead of a guitar solo, I got this young artist, Kat Franich, to sing the female voice on the song. So she sort of answers the guy. That it's a very conversational song, so she kind of answers the guy in a very cool way, and her voice is just amazing. So yeah, I think it's between those three this week, but I'm sure it's going to change again.
Who We Are is my next question, actually. I wrote a review of the album and stated Who We Are is a beautiful track, and one that would have been played constantly back in the 80s, early 90s. You do have an amazing vocal talent. Do you wish you'd have been a singer instead of an amazing guitarist? Or
no, that's funny. I've never actually. That's a really interesting question, Seb, actually, because I've never really thought of it that way. I've always, even when I was very young, I've always had an interest in both. So, for example, I was even in elementary school, people would sing things, and I'd get up and I'd sing some song, and it just sounded really awful, but I always wanted to do it. And at the same time, I just love having a guitar in my hands. I just the body position, the way it feels with the strap, what it does with my hands and everything. So I think it's always been both. But if let's say somebody said, okay, you have to play live, you got to play with this so and so band, you can either sing or play guitar, I'd probably lean towards the guitar.
Really? Because you're an amazing guitarist, there's no doubt about that, but your voice is phenomenal, and that I sort of think it's like just as good as Mr. Big's To Be With You and Extremes More Than Words. That song is just it's phenomenal, man. And honestly, back in the day, that would have been on MTV, played and played and played, I think, personally.
Yeah, no, I really felt it was kind of a sort of a modern statement on relationships, like should we just walk away from this, or should we stay together? And it's a little bit different than she left me and I hate her or whatever it is. I just wanted to keep it a little bit different. And then the girl, when she sings back at me, she's in the same spot. They just don't know if they're gonna go forward. And somebody says should we burn it all away? And then at the same time, the sort of emotional peak is when she says, living without you, it feels like suicide. And I say, without you, I'm like the walking dead. with Dead Man Walking, is it just the drugs talking? That sort of a thing. So I think those are modern messages, things that we all experience and feel. Those sort of questions in our mind, because relationships aren't easy. No. I mean, the song "King of the World," for example, is about a guy who he thinks he's over it. I'm going to walk away. I'm fine. I'm over it. But you can tell, on the bridge section right before Anita comes in and tears the world apart with her guitar, he's not over it. You know what I mean? So, a lot of guys will say, hey, some girl broke my heart, and they'll go, probably 2 weeks I'll be okay. A year later you're still fucked up over the girl. So, it's a tough thing, because our emotions, kind of have their own way with us.
Burn it all away. Turn your eyes towards better things and cry the words you want to say. We can waste another day and try to have a better run, but we never were the lucky ones. That's what we got. We can burn it all away. I still look out for you. I see things deep inside of you, between the lies they're telling you. But I'm already broken, and while you change your state of mind, I'm falling back behind. Oh, that's who we are. That's what we got. We died for the things that we never say. Without you, I was a dead man walking. Is it the drugs talking, or should we burn it all away?
It was 17 days and we never saw the sun. We held each other like we never needed anyone. I never know which one of you is gonna show up. We stuck around hoping you were gonna grow up. I wanna stay but you offered me a ride, 'cause living without you feels like suicide.
Oh, that's who we are, and that's what we got. We died for the things that we never say. Without you, I was a dead man walking. Is it the drugs talking? Should we burn it all away? I feel like a dead man walking. Maybe it's the drugs talking. Should we burn it all away?
How about that for your next video then? That song and Who We Are, but you end up kissing Alice at the end of it. There you go. That's it sorted.
That would be so romantic, and we could, and that would be a good time to get some oil and a Speedo. You never know. So.
But no, it's a phenomenal song. I absolutely adore that song.
Where are we going with this?
I know. Sorry, man. Okay. I love the album cover. I know you've sort of spoken about it already, but it is very apt, and it is like very 21st century. What other plans to have that cover blown up into posters? Because I think it's like a real epic sort of work of art, and I'd love that on my wall.
Yeah, no, the girl too, Brierly, is such an amazing girl. You can tell that look on her face. She had her face covered up, a very beautiful girl, and she had her face covered up, and just how much story is coming out of her eyes is absolutely incredible. And the photographer, the makeup artist, everybody that we had working on there. It's a guy named Michael Rosner. Like everybody involved with it are just true artists. They do such amazing things. And as soon as I saw his work, I said, the next video I'm thinking, where the first treatment that we have it's the girl from the cover, and her tattoos are like that short story. It was either Ray Bradbury or I can't remember who wrote it, but it's called The Illustrated Man, where the tattoos come to life and you walk into different vignettes or stories or dramas and stuff like that. So we're thinking of doing something like that. But I definitely want her in the next video if we can possibly do it. So. I
also read on your wall today, I have not really properly looked at your Facebook wall till today. I don't really usually bother with people's walls, but yours is so funny. But it was saying about your friendship with a boa constrictor and how you were close. What was his name, and what did you used to feed him?
I don't think I ever even gave it a name. The thing for me is I didn't want to turn it into like a little pet. So nobody ever told me the name. It's just what happened was occasionally we would take private chartered planes, and when we did that, there was no real way to store safely the snake. I'm not quite sure what the operation normally entailed. So they said, is it okay if we bring the snake and the snake wraps around you and I said, on the plane? And they said, yeah. And I said, okay. So they bring the plane out. I'd open my shirt. I mean, the snake out. And they'd bring the snake out, and I'd open my shirt, and it would literally slide in and go around my body like 3 times. It was a big snake.
Yeah.
And then I'd button the shirt up, and then the head would come out right in front of me, and it would stare at me and lick my nose with its tongue. And then put its head on my shoulder and go to sleep.
I'll be jumping out the fucking plane.
It happened a number of times, and I started thinking, I really love this animal. So, sometimes before the show, I'd walk down, if let's say we were playing like some hockey rink somewhere, and I'd find the snake, where it was, and I'd sort of sit there, and the snake would slowly come over and join me and just sort of curl up, so that it got warm and stuff like that. I just became friends with the snake. So, and then the snake was always very cooperative. I could tell sometimes it didn't want to be on stage or whatever, but we truly became friends. We eventually we'd go out to dinner sometimes, and no, I'm kidding. But yeah, no. So but yeah, it was a real relationship. I really loved the snake, and I think the snake, trusted me and actually liked, like when we took those planes trips, I think it actually liked, wrapping around me and going to sleep with me. So, that's cool.
I'll be jumping out of the plane, honestly.
Yeah.
Do you have any exotic animals yourself, then?
No, I don't have any animals. The reason why is, I've had some dogs and I've had some cats, and this is going to sound kind of awful. It's going to sound like I'm kind of a big wimp. And I'm not stepping up and doing my duty with taking care of animals, but they're kind of egg timers to sadness. I've never experienced anything like the misery when like one of the pets is dying, and I have to make a decision to put the pet down. It's really intense, or they get hit by a car or whatever. So I kind of feel like I leave it up to other people. I love dogs. I love cats just as much. They're both like incredible. I love all sorts of pets. There was one girl that had exotic birds, these giant birds all over her apartment. They were very cool. I think anybody that takes care of animals like that is just an amazing thing. I'm just not built for it. I get too. It's like the love for a pet is a very, very special, very deep thing, and I think it is true. You're supposed to rescue an animal from whatever situation they're in and take care of them and stuff like that. But it's still I can just feel like the sledgehammer. Maybe when I know I only got a few years left to live, I'll get a pet, and then I'll outlive the pet and see how he deals with it. No, I'm kidding, but seriously, it's kind of a rough thing. So that's the truth on that.
I know what you're saying, man. I've got 2 Bengals and a tabby cat, and Dusty's 15 now, so she's fucking 76 years old in human years.
Wow,
yeah.
Dude, you have 2 Bengals?
Yeah, I've got 2 Bengals. I've got a blue-eyed silver Bengal and a rosette Bengal.
Beautiful animals.
Yeah.
Jeez,
I'll send photos over to you on your Facebook. I don't know if you
Yeah, no,
them.
please do.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that. I went to an exotic cat farm where they took abused, cats. It was lions and cheetahs and mountain lions and all sorts of things. And I remember I sat down. They let me, pet a mountain lion, and mountain lions are a lot bigger than you think. I mean, their heads are huge, So it started licking my arm, and it's like 7th grade sandpaper. He said, "Well, you might want to turn your arm." I said, "Okay," So when I got up to leave, it grabbed my hand in its mouth just to hold me. It was very careful not to hurt my hand.
Uh-huh.
And the guy said, "Okay, don't yank it away. She doesn't want you to leave. Just like pull your hand back to the back of her mouth and slide it out." And I said, "Okay," and it was fine, but it took a while for my voice to come down from falsetto for probably an hour, And then they showed me to show you how animals, some of the things they go through. There was a snow leopard there. There were 2 of them.
Yeah.
And so, they had them in natural environments. They were fenced in, but they tried to create as best an environment possible. So, the cat comes over and says hi to the guy, and the guy said, "Watch this." And he had somebody give him a baseball cap, and that cat went from the most beautiful looking thing to the most devilish, evil looking thing. He wanted to just tear the guy apart. And he said they believe that the person at the zoo that abused this cat had a baseball hat on, because every time he puts it on, that happens. So kind of interesting. Yeah.
You are known as the Rambo of Metal. We are all getting older now. How difficult do you find it to keep in shape?
Well, it's a little different. I mean, fortunately, I did it before. I think, the thing is that people that never did any sort of athletics as kids, they got a little bit higher, vertical curve to scale in order to get in shape if they start when they're 40 or 50 or whatever. So the good thing is that, I haven't stopped. I just sort of kept at it. Even when I did the Saints and Sinners record, I mean, I really sort of trimmed down. I wasn't eating half as much, and I was lifting a lot lighter weights and stuff. But, recently I've started to, go for some size and everything. And my friend Doyle and I talk about it, and what kind of protein drinks are best or whatever. Doyle from the Misfits. I mean, that guy's fucking ripped. So, it's just, I think one of the things, even, not to keep talking about the album, but the new normal, you look at Mick Jagger. I mean, he's redefining what being 70 and plus is. You look at Alice, he's out there, he's performing, he's killing it all year. He's doing 1,000 things. He's in 2 bands or whatever, and he's 70, 71 years old, something like that. So I think rather than going on what we were told is supposed to be the proper behavior, the proper shape you're going to be in or whatever. I mean, at some point, my head's going to fall off. I'll be rolling down the street. I'll have to try to, but I understand that. But the point is that you just sort of proceed as if life is the way you want it to be. Somebody said to me, how did you end up with Alice Cooper? Or when you were playing guitar, like people would say to me, when I was very young, you don't want to do this. There's millions of guitar players that want to be famous. Why do you think you will be? And my belief was, if you work hard enough, if you try to be somebody special, I'm not saying I am. I'm saying if that's what it is, you get obsessed and you put enough hours into anything, the world will greet you with open legs. It'll beat a path somehow to your door, to whatever extent. So I'm living proof of that, because you think about the way I look, you think about the way I played and everything, and there was only one band on the planet that would hire me, and it's Alice Cooper, and he found me. I always think about that. People say to me, well, were there any other bands, you wanted to join? Well, I was like, wait, 230 pounds. I'm not going to join White Lion. You know what I mean? It's a great band, by the way. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying Alice was it. It's just amazing that, my tape ended up with Bob Ezrin, and then I'm sitting there with Alice Cooper, and we became, best friends. So it's just kind of a crazy deal.
Okay. Well, I was sort of like, how old was I when you were 13, 14, 1983, 84, when you were with Alice and everything. I don't know if I want to ask you this question or not, but I'm going to. What is the most outrageous thing you've done in the name of rock and roll? Yeah.
Well, let me think. Yeah, your brain. I think it's. Look, I don't mean to change your question, but I think it's more like, what does rock and roll bring to you? In other words, as my behavior became, I'm hyper now. You can imagine what I was like then. Alice used to tell me to, calm down, and stuff like that, because I was just, way out of my mind. So, as things began to get amped up, whether it was some sort of recreational, like influential drug that would do something, or girls, females that would become, that were sort of willing to do stuff. All that stuff, the numbers of those things just kind of, began to increase, where instead of like one of those things, there'd suddenly be 8, that sort of a thing. So, your brain kind of goes towards that. I think, and this is going to seem like a really kind of conservative, kind of lame answer, but for me, what I discovered about myself was that I could tour nonstop. I was one of those guys that just did not want the tour to end. So it just sort of revealed that I don't really miss anything, It's like, and I've sort of learned that about myself. I never go back to where I was, I was born. I don't want to hang. I don't seek. I don't go to class reunions. I don't do any of that. And think of it this way: I don't own one copy of my own records, my old records. I don't have a gold record. I don't have any memorabilia at my place. I just did a thing with Rudy Sarzo, and his walls are covered with this incredible legacy. He has Whitesnake and Ozzy and Quiet Riot, just amazing. These records all over his walls. I was never that prolific, but I thought to myself, I don't have a copy of Saints and Sinners, which is like, it's like kind of crazy. So I've always had that sort of a thing where whatever the jet stream I'm stepping into at the time, it takes me away, and I just kind of don't look back. And I think rock and roll sort of like really solidified that, in me just as a person.
You called me last night, and I'm glad I didn't hear the phone ring, 'cause your voice still shuts me down. And just the thought of you still gets me where I can't do anything. And I know I was out of my league when I gave you everything. And falling down, I turn around and learn to walk away. This is my coronation. Thank you for your degradation. And all I need is the one and only broke down loneliest girl. Then I'll be famous and free. You're all gonna say I'm king of the better star to shine down and show me who you really are, 'cause your voice is still a lonely sound. You built me up just to tear me down, and you drove me underground. And I know I can rule the world when there's no one else around. I live in doubt, I'm bleeding out, I turn and walk away. This is my coronation. Thank you for your degradation. And all I need is the one and only broke down loneliest girl. Then I'll be No matter what you say, you never fade away. No matter how I pray, you never fade away. You never fade away.
If you were stuck on a desert island for a year with four people, who would you take with you?
Okay, well, so 4 people. Well, I mean, do they want to come with me? That would be the other question. But all right, so assuming that they, either have a clone of them or, they're stuck, as well. In other words, they it's not like I assume they want to come. The first thing in my mind is Christina Scabbia. I mean, the singer from Lacuna Coil. There's a song on the album called "Wonderful," and there's a bridge that's got an acoustic section, very heavy song, and she just entered my psyche throughout that entire bridge, and it gets a little bit X-rated at the end, and then the guitar solo. I was just thinking about her while I'm playing, and to me, it's one of the greatest guitar solos I ever played. So, she doesn't. I don't even know her. You know what I mean? So I just respect her as an artist. A very beautiful woman. All that stuff. She just blows my mind, and she loves video games. So so that would be one of my choices. I would love to have Alissa there, but I know she and Doyle are going out, so Doyle can come too. So that's like 3, and I love Doyle. He's by the way, one of the best guys, and his band is freaking awesome. I saw them at the Whiskey, and it's weird. I've seen the band, the lead singer, the whole band, bass and drums, Doyle, of course, and I'm. You just got the feeling that you were at the like a giant arena. I mean, that's what they are. That's the type of band they are. It's just the scene is what it is right now. But I'm just saying, like a perfect example of that. And then the last one, I think, I would have to say maybe I think it might be Winona Ryder, just because I've seen her in person and she's an absolute angel. So it would just be a great visual for me to look at somebody like that.
Can you tell me why we should buy the new normal?
It's one of those records that sort of if you have any sense of sort of how visuals can be built into music, because I think they really do go hand in hand, as I mentioned before. I think that would be the type of record that you would want. In other words, if you look at lyrics as being more conversational rather than just rhyming for the sake of it, and just sort of developing scenarios that we all go through every day, and it's that kind of a thing, and then the music is sort of like this sort of visual audio backdrop to all of it and stuff. I think that would be a good reason to get it if you like that type of thing. Plus, I think some of the guitar stuff on it is some of my best. So, if you're into that kind of a thing, yeah, that's what I would do.
It's a phenomenal album. Festival or small intimate gig?
Festival.
Vinyl or digital?
Well, I never understood why it went to digital. That's me. but digital is much more convenient now, and the access is way broader. So digital.
Heaven or hell?
I'd like to go to heaven, although it depends on how hell's being running, what the management is, and what they offer.
80s metal or today's metal?
Jeez. Today's metal.
Really?
I love 80s metal.
Same here.
Today's metal.
Same here, but when you go back and listen to it, I know, it's strange, isn't it?
You know what I mean? The new stuff, Volbeat and all these bands, do you like Battle Beast?
I just love Battle Beast, dude. And I love Arch Enemy, mate, honestly.
Yeah, and that song, I Want the World. I mean, I asked Nora Luhimo to sing on the record. She told me to fuck off. I'm never going to stop asking her. If I record 10 more records, I'm going to keep asking her because I think she's one of the most skilled, one of the most amazing singers on the planet. And, I'm older than her probably, so I'm not probably, I'm older than her. So I'm going to die, before she sings on the record, so she wins.
Donald Trump or Miss Piggy?
Oh, well, I think they would both make great presidents. That's the way I look at that whole clown show. People ask me about politics, and I just go, there's one of those guys that I would want to hang out with for 5 minutes. I don't care what side. I don't care who they are. I just have no interest.
Excellent.
Get stuck in a room with one of those guys. Yeah, you see how long it takes for you to want to get the fuck out of there,
What about a tour? Are you hoping to get over to Europe?
I would love to do that. Right now, I'm just going to be into making videos. If playing live is something that seems like a viable thing, I made the mistake of playing at a festival called Firefest a while back. I had 2 rehearsals with 2 guys I didn't know. I hadn't played in 800 years. So it was just kind of a train wreck. So, if I'm going to do a tour, it's a pretty, tall mountain to climb, and I'm going to take my time to make the band so that even if we do one show, it's a meaningful, event, as best as we can do it. So, if it turns into something where it makes a lot of sense for me to do it, I'm definitely going to do it. But right now, I just want to make, 2 or 3 videos.
Do you have any final words for your fans and our listeners?
I just would love people to visit visit YouTube and take a look at the video, beginning to the end, and make your comments, what you think, and all that stuff. Because I created it for people to hear it, and win, lose, or draw. Love, indifferent, hate. Whatever it is, it's all part of getting stuff out into the public jet stream. So bring it on. Seb, this was one of the best. Absolutely, thank you. This is Kane Roberts, and you're listening to the Metal God's Meltdown. And believe me, you'll be melting down very soon.
They bleed false promises until you're broken. Tongues. what you wanted. You desert me, you incarnate me, you call my name. Go find a war. That screaming sound that tears the ground and cuts you to your core. Beneath the trees that scar my brain, it's what you pray for.
This is what you prayed for. Go find a war. Can't go back to how you were before. Go find a war. It's the beginning of the end. Say goodbye to the world. It's the beginning of the end. Say goodbye.